Yo guys, just before we get into this video, I want to make a quick announcement. As you can see on the screen right now, I have a list of projects that I'm currently working on, and I want to give this quick announcement before we get into Spider-Man 4. But if this video comes out after these projects are already out, here's a timestamp on the screen right now where you can go skip to see Spider-Man 4. And if you only have Spider-Man 4 and not these, then go skip to this timestamp anyway. I don't really care, but for those people who want to know, here you go. These are some projects that I'm currently working on. The next one to come out is obviously The Ultimate Spider-Man, which is a Spectacular Spider-Man continuation, and that will go out next Saturday. The next one after that is The Amazing Spider-Man 2 Rewrite, which comes out the following Sunday commencing, and then a week in advance, we then do have The Amazing Spider-Man 3, and those are the next three projects that I'm currently working on right now, guys. You guys knew Amazing Spider-Man 3 was coming, you guys knew Spider-Man 4 was coming, and you knew Ultimate was coming, but I am also doing an Amazing Spider-Man 2 Rewrite, so that may have come a little bit of a surprise to you, but with that being said, enjoy Spider-Man 4. Spider-Man 4, the film that got cancelled, and now I'm heartbroken. Not gonna lie, but every time I rewatch the Raimi films, I just crave a fourth film even more. Honestly, it would have been good to see a fourth Spider-Man film, not just because it would have given an actual ending that Sam Raimi would have been satisfied with, but because the Sam Raimi movies were the films that defined superhero movies for a very long time. Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 all have special places in a lot of people's hearts, including myself. You don't have to like them per se, but you can't dispute that they had contribution and influence on the entire way superhero movies were looked at by the media and general audiences. Them, X-Men, and the Nolan Dark Knight trilogy showed us that superhero movies can mean something, whether it's mental struggles explored by the Sam Raimi trilogy and how being a superhero affects your mental health, whether it's the physically demanding side and the breaking point of characters within Batman and how that affects his life and the people around him, or maybe it's how being an outcast from the rest of society makes you feel through characters like Logan. But if Spider-Man 4 was released, it would have been released right into the path of superhero movies that were directly influenced by the first film back in 2002. And it probably would have been overlooked, not credited enough, and it's tough to say how it would have performed. If Spider-Man 4 was anything like the first two films, it's fair to say it wouldn't even perform very well, at least in my opinion. That wouldn't mean it would be a bad movie, it just means that it would be overlooked and discredited due to its non-formulaic structure compared to the ensemble superhero movies like we have today in the MCU, which were building to like the Avengers in the very next year. It would be dated, it would feel out of time, it would feel like a classic early 2000s superhero film released into the path of the rise of Marvel Studios. But who even cares about that? Whether this film did well or not, I'm here to bring you Spider-Man 4, LewisFilms edition. I will take ideas originally from the storyboards and stuff that Sam Raimi has said, etc. However, I will put my own spin on it and tell the story I'd partly have liked to have seen. So here it is, Spider-Man 4. The start of the movie will be an intro just like the first three movies, recapping the events of the previous three movies. We will show things like the Goblin's death, the spider bite, the train fight, MJ, Doc Ock, Black Spider-Man, Harry's death, Peter and Sandman, and so on. We will cut to a narration of Peter Parker as he introduces us to the story. Spider-Man will swing into the camera and then we'll get a montage of Spider-Man taking down criminals like bank robbers, C/D-list villains. He will first take down the Shocker and disable his blasters, then he will take down the Prowler, and finally he will go against Stiltman. Peter will get home that night absolutely exhausted and the radio will be on and Spider-Man will be getting a lot of recognition and being thanked by the city even though he is absolutely exhausted. Peter will mourn Harry's death and will go across pictures of himself, MJ and Harry all together with them in school. Peter will also read a note from Ursula, his flatmate, telling him how much she'll miss him and their chocolate cake gatherings. It is revealed that Peter is actually moving out of his apartment to move in with MJ. The next day, Peter is moving out of his apartment and we get a nice little moment with Mr. Dickovich where he jokes about wanting rent. MJ comes over to help move some stuff, but then all of a sudden Peter's radio goes off. There is a crime downtown and Spider-Man is needed. Peter leaves in a hurry and Dickovich comments on how Peter has always been so strange. Spider-Man swings into action as he encounters the Master of Illusions, Mysterio. Spider-Man has no trouble taking him down and it's revealed that Mysterio, who is played by Bruce Campbell, is the one behind all of these recent attacks and uproar in villains. It is explained, however, that there has been a rise in villains within the city unexpectedly for no reason, and no one knows why and where they came from, yet they're bigger than regular thugs, but not quite Doc Ock Green Goblin level villains. In the same scene, Captain George Stacy also explains to Spider-Man that they have concluded there must be a kingpin of some sorts behind this. Spider-Man also meets someone called Felicia, at the same police station who tries to talk to Spider-Man. She acts like she is a reporter to get questions. Spider-Man answers hesitantly and awkwardly, but then swings off. The next scene, we get introduced to our main antagonist of the film, which is Adrian Toomes. It is explained that he is working on new tech for the military, and he has big investors. It is revealed that his big investor goes by the name of none other than Wilson Fisk, and he is the one funding all of his projects. There is a New York Science Expo and contest, and Adrian Toomes is going to be the one of the big scientists a part of it. He is confident that he'll win. Wilson Fisk demands that he wins, or else his money will be wasted. The next scene is that it revealed that Toomes has a dying wife and wants to save her. He believes that his tech, and if he works hard enough along with the investors, he can become a worldwide phenomenon and save her. The night of the expo, Peter meets up with MJ for a date where they would go to the expo and then have dinner afterwards. Peter tells MJ that Jameson wants pictures, so he'll go and grab some while he's there. Peter also reveals he's finally ready to propose as he shows a ring to the camera, obviously not to MJ. Felicia, the same girl at the police station, is also at the expo, and Peter recognizes this, and it's the same girl. Toomes presents his tech, and it's a wing gliding tech. He presents his ideas and innovations confidently, even showing off a prototype tech off in a glass container and his progress. Toomes steps down and the next person comes up, but someone in a cat costume ruins the show and tears it down. She calls herself the Black Cat. Before Peter could do anything, he gets MJ out of there safely and Spider-Man swings into the scene. Spider-Man also saves Toomes and gets him to safety. Spider-Man has a tussle with the Black Cat, and Cat gives off her flirtatious personality throughout the fight, showing what kind of person she is, personified through her fighting style and ability. She escapes successfully, however, with Spider-Man having no knowledge on why she attacked and what her motive was behind it. We then cut to a scene with J. Jonah Jameson where he ridicules Peter for not having enough pictures of the fight between the Black Cat. He has pictures of the expo, but not the fight with Spider-Man and Cat. Jameson ridicules Peter for this in one of these classic funny scenes. Peter tries to figure out who this Black Cat person is. He plays it off as another Mysterio-type villain. Black Cat robs banks and stores on the low-key. The city comes crumbling underneath the weight of crimes being committed, and Spider-Man can't even keep up with them. Black Cat is causing havoc, and it allows other thieves to slip under the police's and Spider-Man knows. Spider-Man's reputation starts to become affected as Peter starts to obsess with catching Black Cat and puts a rift between himself and MJ, causing them two to have arguments. Peter tries to make it up to MJ by taking her out on a date, but they end up fighting in the middle of a restaurant. Felicia, who has been stalking Peter Parker, very weirdly sees this and approaches Peter at the restaurant, and they start to have a conversation, and it's revealed that obviously Felicia has seen him around, and Peter has as well, vice versa. The next scene, we get a downtime scene with Aunt May bringing Peter back to Earth. Spider-Man will finally chase down the Black Cat, but it leads him straight to Fisk Industries, who was the investor that Adrian Toomes mentioned at the expo. Spider-Man fights Black Cat, but Cat reveals that she knows he is Peter Parker. This is because Felicia had become a detective from a young age, thus fleshing out her character a little bit more. And obviously she had been stalking Peter and then had found a connection between himself and the way that Peter takes photos of Spider-Man and put the pieces together. This is actually one of the first people in the Raimi trilogy to ever do this. Peter guesses that she is Felicia, the person that she met at the police station and at the restaurant and at the expo, and Felicia doesn't hesitate in congratulating him on figuring it out. Spider-Man finds out that Fisk is the kingpin behind all of the crime, and Black Cat was also working for him. Spider-Man takes down Fisk, and the investment for Adrian's project is absolutely gone. Fisk is sent to prison, but Adrian is furious. However, Black Cat escapes Spider-Man again, to Peter's frustration. Adrian is absolutely furious with Spider-Man. Adrian thought Spider-Man was a good person as he saved him earlier, but he was wrong. Spider-Man betrayed him. He uses his prototype Vulture wings to rob banks to finish his project as he becomes more desperate. Spider-Man intervenes the Vulture at the bank. Adrian is becoming even more pissed at Spider-Man. The Vulture, however, to Peter's surprise, stands Spider-Man up and proves he is one of the fiercest opponents Spider-Man has ever faced, and gets away. Peter confronts Felicia about it, and she is pissed at Peter. She reveals that Adrian Toomes is her father and that he was the man who attacked the bank. Felicia helped Fisk commit the crimes for his empire, so her father's investment didn't crumble, meaning that Adrian could make the money necessary. But she did it in secret as she didn't want her father to know that she was a criminal. She feels ashamed of herself, but she had to. Peter asks why, and it was because Adrian used the money he earned to pay for Felicia's mother's care. Peter is put between a rock and a hard place. He says he will help Felicia turn her life around so she can help her mother, but he won't let it be done illegally. Felicia is still pissed off, but Peter has a point. Felicia tells Adrian she knows who Spider-Man is and that it's Peter Parker out of her anger and feel of betrayal of Spider-Man. She feels like Spider-Man was meant to help people but feels betrayed, as Toombs does. Adrian isn't a bad man though. He swears he will hurt everyone Peter has ever loved if he is to intervene again, but he won't just yet. Adrian tries to rob a different sum of money from some trucks, but once again is stopped by Spider-Man. Adrian, with his motive of finishing his work and needing the money necessary for his wife and Felicia's mother, he puts up a fight, a fearsome one. He once again escapes to Peter's longing frustration. The pacing slows down for a bit as we get a scene with Peter trying to reconnect with Mary Jane. MJ ignores him. Peter tells her that he was going to marry her and she cries on the other end of the phone. Peter really misses her. It is also revealed that the city is slowly turning their back on Spider-Man, since Spider-Man hasn't been able to keep on top of the crimes since the recent rise of the Vulture and the Black Cat. The city are questioning if Spider-Man is the right man for the job anymore. The city are slowly betraying Peter, pushing Peter to be a better person and be on his A game at all times. This slowly does get to Peter, however, though, as he starts to struggle mentally with MJ on his mind all the time, the city slowly turning against Spider-Man, and two villains that won't back down who have a morally acceptable reason for doing what they're doing, which also does put Peter between a rock and a hard place. This really is playing on Peter's emotions. We have another scene with Aunt May also bringing Peter back to Earth again. Aunt May reveals to Peter that she knows he is Spider-Man and that she has known since the events of Spider-Man 2. That is why in this scene in Spider-Man 3 she has the reaction she does when Peter tells her that the person who killed Uncle Ben had been killed by Spider-Man. She believes that Peter wouldn't even be capable of killing someone and reminds him of what a good person he is. Adrian's wife / Felicia's mother dies tragically due to her not having the right medical treatment to keep her alive. This pushes Adrian over the edge, and it's all Spider-Man's fault. We have a scene with Felicia reacting to this event, and she slowly comes to terms with it. Adrian suits up as the Vulture, completely insane, and takes Mary Jane and longs for Spider-Man to fight him and swears to kill everyone he has ever loved. Spider-Man is quick on the scene after the powerful message by Aunt May and realizes no matter how much people in your life betray you, you can never give up on hope. This is the difference between Adrian and Peter in this movie. Peter is the representation of someone who didn't give up on hope when he really could have, when the city was against him, when NJ was against him, when Felicia was the Black Cat, and Adrian is the personified opposite to Peter, a man who crumbled under pressure, who was driven insane by the betrayal of those he thought were good. This is a yin and yang. This is a good versus evil. This is a Jekyll versus Hyde. Felicia is also on the scene, but not as the cat, but watching. Spider-Man tries to break through to Adrian that this is not the way. The Vulture beats the living crap out of Spider-Man. Vulture was about to kill MJ in front of Peter's eyes when Black Cat steps in. Black Cat has now betrayed her father, following the theme of the movie and watching it come full circle. Felicia realized that killing MJ won't bring her mother back, and it would do more harm than good. The death of Adrian's wife / Felicia's mother was the turning point for both of these characters. For Adrian, it was the snapping point where he just went completely off the rails. From Felicia's perspective, it was the realization and understanding that because of her actions and ignorance, she could have saved her mother if she had just took Peter's advice. At the start of the movie, Adrian started off as an admirable man, and Felicia started off as a criminal, working for Wilson Fisk. Now Adrian has fallen, and Felicia has risen. Their arcs completely parallel one another. Black Cat helps Spider-Man take down the Vulture, but it's not over yet. The Vulture is furious that even his own flesh and blood would betray him. Rage gets the better of the Vulture, and he kills Mary Jane in front of Peter's eyes. Peter is engulfed with anger. He stops the Vulture, but doesn't kill him, as that's not what Uncle Ben would have wanted. Peter and Felicia share a moment at the end of the movie like MJ and Peter did after Harry died. Peter and Felicia have that relatability of losing someone they loved, and use that to bond with each other and become friends. There is no final swing to this movie, as this movie doesn't end on a high note like Spider-Man 1 or 2, but the lowest of low. Peter Parker will ever feel in his entire life. So that's been Spider-Man 4. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give that like button a slap and make sure to go and hit that subscribe button. My pop filter is I keep popping into the mic. Anyway, I'm gonna end this video here. I'm up till really late recording this video and I'm really tired, so I'm gonna go to sleep. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I've really enjoyed making this one. I've got a little announcement though. I'm gonna be making Spider-Man 5. I've got a way to go with it. I've got the story there, and I feel like I can do Spider-Man 5 and potentially Spider-Man 6. Nothing on Spider-Man 6 yet, though, but I feel like I can do Spider-Man 5. Just wait about 2 weeks. I'll get it out in about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. It depends how the schedule is going. I've also got the Amazing Spider-Man 3 coming up very soon, and remember, we've got the Ultimate Spider-Man Season 1 coming up. But yeah, with that being said, thank you guys for watching this video. If you did enjoy, be sure to like button, subscribe if you want to. Hit the bell notification button next to subscribe and to miss any more content. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Please tell me in the comments below though what you thought of my Spider-Man 4. Was it good? Did it live up to the LewisFilms? Cheers. Thanks. Tell me what you think. Bye bye.